On the day my husband told me to take my clothes and get out, he stood in our doorway like I was the inconvenience in a life I had helped build. He said the apartment was his, the money was his, and if I was smart, I'd leave quietly. I remember looking down at the single duffel bag by my feet and thinking that humiliation has a very specific sound when it comes from someone who once promised to protect you. But I didn't know that hidden in the back of his nightstand was a second phone that would tear his double life wide open. If you love quiet revenge and clean legal payback, stay with me. This one started with a bag of clothes by the door and ended with sanctions, repayment, and the truth dragged into daylight. My name is Camila Reyes. I was 29, an ER receptionist, and by then I had spent 6 years working the front desk of chaos. I knew how to stay calm while people shouted, cried, lied, or bled. I knew how to read panic in a face before a voice caught up to it. At work, you learn patterns fast. You learn who is hiding pain, who is hiding facts, and who thinks confidence can replace truth. I was good at paperwork, good at timing, and very good at remembering details people assumed I would miss. That mattered more than my husband ever understood. He thought resilience meant I could take a hit and keep moving. He never realized it also meant I could survive long enough to build a case. When I first married Adrian, he liked telling people I was the strong one. It sounded like admiration if you didn't know him well. What he really meant was that I would absorb what he didn't want to carry. If rent was short, I picked up extra shifts. If he forgot a bill, I covered it. If his mood turned cold for a week, I was expected to act like weather should never be taken personally. He worked in sales and loved appearance more than stability. New shoes before paid parking tickets, fancy dinners when our savings account looked like an apology. He called it confidence. I called it math with a personality disorder. The first real crack came when he started guarding his phone like a state secret. Screen down at dinner, short smiles into the hallway, showers with the phone on the sink. When I asked once who kept texting so late, he kissed my forehead and said, "You work in an ER. Everything looks suspicious to you." That was his favorite trick, turning my instincts into a flaw. Moving out day happened on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after he filed for divorce without warning. I came home after a double shift and found cardboard boxes stacked in the living room. Not both of our things, mine. My scrubs folded badly, my books shoved sideways, my winter coat hanging off a lamp like it had been thrown there mid-annoyance. Adrian was standing by the kitchen counter with the lease in one hand, and a look on his face I can still remember too clearly. "You should have texted first," he said. I stared at the boxes. "What is this?" He shrugged. "It's over. You need to take your stuff." I asked where he expected me to go, and he actually laughed once, softly, like my question bored him. "Take your clothes and go," he said. "You've always figured things out." That's when something inside me went cold. Not broken, not dramatic, just cold. His friend Marcus was there too, pretending to help, leaning against the doorframe with the uncomfortable expression of a man who knew he shouldn't witness this, and stayed anyway. Adrian picked up one of my framed photos from a shelf, handed it to me and said, "Don't make this ugly." Ugly. As if he hadn't reduced 6 years of marriage to boxes and an eviction tone in my own home. At that point, I had less than $2,000 in my checking account. My mother lived 2 hours away in a one-bedroom senior apartment. My job was steady, but ER schedules do not leave much room for emergencies of your own. Adrian had handled most of our online banking because he claimed he was better with platforms. I had access but not control. Looking back, that should have frightened me sooner. If I left quietly, I risked losing more than furniture and closet space. I could lose my share of savings, any leverage in the divorce, and the chance to prove what he'd been doing behind my back. He wanted speed because speed favors the person already holding the information. There was also dignity. Once someone humiliates you in your own doorway, you either disappear into their version of events or you make sure the record gets corrected. I had no intention of disappearing. But I didn't know how much money had already been siphoned out of our life. Not yet. He gave me exactly one thing that day besides the duffel bag of clothes. A dented plastic storage bin from the hall closet. "Take this too," he said. "It's all junk from your side anyway." Marcus looked away when Adrian said it, which told me more than his silence did. The bin had old chargers, travel-sized toiletries, random cords, expired coupons, a cracked jewelry box, and receipts stuffed into an envelope, Adrian thought it was garbage. Something to make me feel small. Something extra to carry while leaving the apartment like a woman who had lost everything worth keeping. That was the worthless gift. I took the bin because I wasn't going to leave anything behind if it had my name on it. I loaded the boxes into my car in 2 trips, put the bin in the back seat, and drove to my friend Lila's apartment across town. I cried exactly once, in her bathroom, with both hands over my mouth so no one would hear. Then I washed my face and started sorting. The next morning, I opened the storage bin on her kitchen floor. At the bottom, under a tangled charging cable and 2 old scarves, I found a receipt from an electronics store for a prepaid smartphone purchased 11 months earlier. Cash sale, no phone number listed. Just the model, the SIM starter kit, and Adrian's rewards account ID. That's when the air changed. 6 months later, Adrian was telling anyone who would listen that I was bitter, unstable, and trying to drag out a simple divorce because I couldn't accept rejection. Men love calling women dramatic when they are the ones hiding the plot. By then, I had moved into a small studio over a bakery, learned to sleep through early morning delivery trucks, and turned one corner of my room into what Lila called my war desk. Not because I yelled, because I organized. I kept every bank alert, every utility statement, every email from our attorneys, every receipt from that storage bin. I built timelines between shifts, drank too much coffee, and let quiet rage do what panic never can focus. Then my phone rang. It was Marcus. He sounded nervous before he even said hello. He told me Adrian had left a device at his place after a weekend trip, panicked when he noticed, and came back looking white as paper to get it. Marcus didn't know what was on it, but he said Adrian called it the work phone, which was strange because Adrian's company had never issued one. I asked Marcus one question. What did it look like? He described the exact model from the receipt in my storage bin. That's when I knew the second phone was real. My attorney filed a discovery request for all devices used for financial communication during the marriage. Adrian denied having any undisclosed phone, denied hidden accounts, denied unusual transfers. Denied everything so smoothly it almost impressed me. Then his own carelessness turned on him. 2 weeks later, the data recovery expert hired through my attorney's office contacted us. He had been reviewing Adrian's disclosed phone backups and found cloud sync traces from another device linked to the same account family months earlier. Adrian had deleted the secondary device connection, but not before fragments remained in backup logs, IMEI fragments, sync timestamps, and app restoration records. That was enough to force the issue. When Adrian was ordered to produce all devices, he finally surrendered the second phone. He claimed it was for client overflow. He claimed old messages had been deleted and nothing on it mattered. He claimed a lot of things. The recovery expert brought back more. Deleted chats with 2 women. One of them, clearly long-term. Hotel confirmations, ride-share receipts, voice notes, a separate mobile banking app not listed in any disclosure. And the worst part wasn't the affair itself, it was the money. Adrian had been siphoning funds from our joint account in increments small enough to blend into rent, groceries, and auto-pay noise. 200 here, 350 there. 600 tagged as vendor reimbursement. Over 14 months, it added up to tens of thousands. Some of it went to hotel stays and restaurant tabs. Some went to a second checking account under a business nickname. Some funded furniture and monthly rent for an apartment across town. A double life. The deleted chats made it plain. He was not seeing someone after things fell apart. He had been maintaining a second relationship while using our money to furnish it. One message read, "Once Camila is out, I can stop pretending the finances are tight." I stared at that line for so long my vision blurred. But I didn't know yet about the forged authorization. That came from the bank records. Several transfer forms moving larger amounts into his side account carried digital acknowledgments in my name. The problem was, I hadn't authorized them. The timestamps placed me at the ER front desk on camera during 2 of those approvals. The IP logs came from our apartment Wi-Fi while I was literally checking in ambulance arrivals at work. That's when the whole thing hardened into something stronger than betrayal. Fraud. Then my phone rang again. My attorney's voice was clipped and steady. "Camila, he's not just cheating. He's lying to the court and moving marital funds. I'm filing for sanctions." The settlement conference was held in a bland room with beige walls and stale air, the kind of place where people lie because they think ordinary spaces make consequences feel smaller. Adrian came in wearing the blue suit I had once paid to have tailored. He smiled when he saw me, the kind of smile designed to suggest I was still emotional and he was still in control. "Camila," he said, "this doesn't have to be a war." I set my binder on the table. "You packed my life into boxes." He leaned back. "You're dragging this out over hurt feelings." My attorney, Dana Holt, didn't look up from her folder. "No, she's dragging this out over hidden money, false disclosures, and forged authorizations." For the first time, Adrian stopped smiling. Dana laid out the timeline in perfect order. Joint withdrawals, hidden account deposits, the second phone purchase, recovered chats, apartment rent payments, hotel charges. Then she placed printed IP logs beside the digital authorizations he claimed I had approved. Adrian tried the old confident tone. "I handled household transfers. She knew that." I said very calmly. "I knew about groceries, not your second apartment." He glanced at me once, then away. Dana continued. "Would you like to explain why transfer approvals in her name were made while she was clocked in at the ER? He didn't answer. That's when Dana slid over the recovered message about waiting until I was out so he could stop pretending finances were tight. Adrian's ears actually turned red. "You read private messages?" he snapped. I folded my hands. "You used private money." He tried one more move. I was under pressure. I needed space. Dana's voice sharpened just slightly. "Then you could have rented space with your own disclosed funds." The room went quiet after that, not because we were done, because he was. The judge did not enjoy being lied to. At the hearing, Dana walked through the evidence with clean precision. The second phone was not inherently illegal. The deleted chats were ugly but not decisive on their own. The money trail, however, was devastating. Recovery reports linked the hidden device to undisclosed accounts. Bank statements showed repeated siphoning from marital funds. Metadata and IP records contradicted Adrian's claim that I approved the larger transfers. My work logs proved I was nowhere near the device sessions attributed to me. The judge asked Adrian directly whether he had fully disclosed all accounts when ordered. He said yes. Dana introduced the side account statement. He said he had forgotten it. Dana introduced the apartment lease paid through that account. He said it was temporary. Dana introduced 12 months of rent and furniture purchases. He stopped talking after that. The court found he had concealed assets, made unauthorized transfers, and filed incomplete disclosures. The judge ordered repayment of the siphoned funds back into the marital estate, a revised settlement heavily in my favor, and sanctions for discovery abuse and false statements. My attorney's fees were partially shifted to him. The second apartment and expenses tied to the affair were treated as dissipation of marital assets, which is one of the most beautiful legal phrases I have ever heard. Quiet rage has no interest in shouting when a court order can do the work. Adrian left that hearing looking smaller than I had ever seen him. Not tragic, not broken. Just reduced to his actual size once charm and secrecy stopped inflating him. And that was justice. A year later, I still worked the ER desk, still checked in chaos with a steady voice, still noticed things most people missed. But I lived differently. I had my own place, my own accounts, and my own peace. No guarded screens, no missing money, no man turning my resilience into an excuse to take more. Sometimes I think about that storage bin, the worthless gift he tossed at me like clutter. If I had been too proud to take it, I might have missed the receipt that opened the whole case. Funny how people reveal themselves when they decide you're beneath caution. I never got loud. I never smashed anything. I never gave him the scene he probably expected. What I gave him was worse. I gave him documentation, sequence, and a courtroom record that will outlast every lie he told about me. Moral: when someone tells you to take your clothes and go, take the box too. People hiding a double life almost always leave a trail in the things they think don't matter. And when betrayal empties your home, let the truth refill your name. Tell me in the comments, what detail gave Adrian away first for you? And subscribe for more family drama stories where betrayal meets quiet, satisfying justice.